all of them would spike the punch. So for that reason...
It's sort of a miracle Uncle Stan didn't. He did go out into the parking lot and ask some kids if they had any left-handed cigarettes, which is what he called pot. So, you know.
Welcome to Don't Quit Your Day Job, where three friends run their mouths on the internet. Let's get started.
Hey guys! Welcome back to our podcast, Don't Quit Your Day Job. How's everyone doing this week?
Pretty good. Just got done with prom, so that is all done with. Went off with a smash. Kids had fun, stayed safe.
Woohoo! Looked gorgeous.
Can't say the same for schools near us about staying safe, but
what happened?
It was beautiful. Allegedly, someone spiked the punch at a district very near me, and a couple of kids went to the ER.
Oh no!
Oh my goodness!
So
like a bad 80s movie.
That's the rumor. I don't know if it's true or not, but it was not good.
Well, I'm glad.
But ours was great,
guys. For my junior prom, for our listeners, my dad was one of my teachers, and so everybody knew my whole family when I was in school. For my junior prom, they asked, my uncle substituted sometimes after he retired from his school district. He subbed at my school district. They asked my uncle to chaperone my junior prom, my parents to chaperone my junior prom, and for good measure, my older sister, who was in college at the time, and my now brother-in-law also. Thankfully, my parents, my dad, solid guy. He was like, I think we're going to let her do her thing. But my uncle and my sister and brother-in-law were at my junior prom. And my uncle was a character. He was just like a funny
I don't know
guy.
how I'd feel about that.
I don't know how I felt great about it.
I'm trying to decide which uncle I'd want at our junior prom, and all of them would spike the punch. So for that reason...
It's sort of a miracle Uncle Stan didn't. He did go out into the parking lot and ask some kids if they had any left-handed cigarettes, which is what he called pot. So, you know.
Was he trying to...
As you do.
Was he trying to trick them, or was he trying to get some pot?
Maybe a little of both. He was an interesting fella.
Not all of our uncles would spike the punch, but we have several that would. And think it would be as a funny joke. But
the only parents that we had chaperoning, luckily, was we had a set of parents that ran the 360 photo booth. So they have a 360 photo booth that they rent out for parties, and they did ours for free. And so they were busy. They weren't sitting there staring at their kid or anything, but that was the only parents that we did have at prom, and the kids had fun. They had like boas and like hats and like fake chains and sunglasses, and then they'd stand on the little thing and do a 360 picture. It's pretty cool.
Your students had their very own glam bot.
Yeah.
Oh, that's super neat. That's so cool. I'm glad that proms have become more than just, cake and punch at a cafeteria like ours was. I'm glad that they're
oh my god
they're elevating up.
Picture this: the year was 2006. You're in a now middle school cafeteria about the size of probably your dining room at home, with easily 60, 70 kids in there. And all the poles that hold up the roof, they're just wrapped in trash bags and black paper going across the library doors. I don't remember the theme because it was all just black trash bags and black paper, and that was about the extent of our decorations.
Mom chaperoned or did food or something for our junior prom. senior prom. But we did something really cool after prom that I don't think they do anymore, called after prom. And like the local businesses around us, like we had at the time, the town we lived in had a bowling alley, had a movie theater. So like these local businesses opened up for kids after prom, and you could go do these activities after prom with your friends. And so you could be out all night, but your parents knew you were safe. And then like the local diner was open at like 6 a.m. and did like a pancake breakfast, like for all the kids.
It was at Elks Lodge.
Was it at the Elks Lodge?
Yeah. So they do that. I don't know about, like, here they do that, but it's not as big as it is in Mena. Because, like, in Mena, like Christina said, like, after prom ended, we went to the bowling alley and we got to bowl for free. We got to play arcade games for free. The only thing we had to pay for is if we wanted food or anything like that. And that went from like 11 to like 1 a.m. And then they did from 1 a.m. to like 3 or 4. We went to the Elks Lodge, and at the Elks Lodge, they did that pancake or egg breakfast. And then they did bingo, and then they did raffle, and like kids went home with like huge TVs or like laptops one year, like a whole bunch of stuff that you would need like when you're going to college and stuff. And so they would do all of that. And so like, I know they haven't done that here. I think they're working towards that, but yeah, it was all just, and you had to like be at each of the after prom things to be able to qualify for like their drawings and stuff. So that way they could make sure that you were there and you weren't off drinking or doing something you shouldn't be doing. And then
with left-handed cigarettes.
Yeah, left-handed cigarettes. That way you had a chance of getting some really pricey like gifts that the local businesses like donated for students. So it was pretty cool.
Awesome. We did not have something like that, I don't think. If we did, it was not publicized, and yeah, no, I don't think we had anything like that, but that's an awesome idea.
More kids go to after prom than go to prom in Mena. Like, at least when we went to school, more kids went to after prom than went to prom. So like sometimes it would be where kids would go to the park and they'd take pictures with all their friends and stuff, skip prom, and then do all the after prom activities and stuff. Because Mena was real weird about, which was not the case at any of the surrounding schools, but you had to be a junior or senior to go to prom. You could not bring a date that was like a sophomore or freshman, or you couldn't bring a date that had been a junior, like a senior the year before, anything like that. I'm not talking about anything creepy. I'm talking about like just like boyfriends a year older than you, whatever. So you couldn't bring them. And so a lot of people who were dating like freshmen and sophomores when they were juniors, or were dating like guys right out of high school, they didn't want to go to prom because they couldn't bring their boyfriend. So it was funner because they were allowed to go to after prom activities. They could do all the after prom activities. They just couldn't do prom. And we didn't
they stipulated it was because prom is a school function, and then the after prom is held by like the parent booster club or whatever. And so that's how they stipulated it. It's still like that. You still can't bring, well, in Mena, at like Gentry, at Gentry, you have to fill out a form to bring someone who's not either, who doesn't go to school here, or they've already graduated. But you can bring freshmen or sophomores, which I don't know how I feel about like freshmen and sophomores. I kind of feel like that should probably be not something allowed, just so that by the time they get to their junior and senior year, it's something special. But I don't know. They had fun, so.
I knew girls who went to 4 years of proms because the local, like Hatfield did it, and Cove did it, and Acorn did it. So I know girls who went to all 4 years of prom, like they did prom every year. So, but homecoming's not a thing down south like it is up here. I think homecoming's more of a thing.
Are you joking? Like, at Mena?
No, when we were in school.
Yeah.
We didn't have homecoming dresses.
No, not for the whole school, not for like homecoming dance, but like homecoming court and stuff was huge. It's still huge.
Well, homecoming court was huge, but I mean, like up here, they get dressed up to go to homecoming dance and stuff. Like a huge, like they get dressed up.
You gonna have me sitting out on bleachers? I ain't gonna be in no dress. Don't you like that grammar? I ain't gonna be in no dress. Okay. No. Homecoming was pants, tennis shoes, and my going out top, as us millennials like to say. That's it.
That's my favorite thing. The millennials we had were going out tops.
Jeans and a
I
going
can
out
think
top.
of one right
Jeans
now.
and a cute top.
I still do it.
Me too.
Jeans and a going out top.
Yep. They're just some tops that you wouldn't wear day to day, but you would wear to go out. Like there's just rules. What about you, Julia? How was your week?
It was good, you know. Jack has been gone, but for our listeners, Christina and Stephanie already know this, but I have started tentatively house hunting. So, woohoo! A milestone I thought I might never reach. But so I'm not in any hurry, but it is fun to go look. And I found a realtor that I really like. So I went on Sunday and I saw a few houses. So I looked at 3. And so that was really fun. I liked the first one. It was like built in the early 80s. It only had one owner. I loved the location of it. I hated the street it was on because the street was like right across the street from it were like these townhouse apartments. And then almost every other like building on the street was a duplex. So it's just a lot of rental properties. So there's going to be a lot of like turnover in your neighbors. And I would rather have more stability when I'm buying. But the house had a lot of potential. It needed a lot of updating. It probably hasn't been updated much since the 1980s from that one owner. New carpet in the main part of the house, but the brick pattern linoleum floor in the kitchen and the pink carpet in the master bedroom, those would have to be changed. There were some definite upgrades that needed to happen, but the bones of the house were really cool. And then the second house I saw, I really loved. They had like this cool fireplace with these built-ins on either side of it. Had a great screened in back porch. I had a great front porch, but it was right off 5-lane highway. And I didn't know that when I scheduled the viewing. And so like when I got there, I was like, oh, like the house is still beautiful, but man, pulling in and out of a driveway to a 5-lane, like a busy 5-lane highway. No, I don't want to do that. So, the house was beautiful. The house had so much potential. It could have been really cool, but that was out for that reason. And then the last house I saw, I really liked, which kind of surprises me. I like a house with some character, and this is a newer house. It's only 10 years old. And it's in like a development neighborhood, but it's not a super cookie cutter neighborhood. I don't love when my house looks exactly like my neighbor's house. So it wasn't really like that, but it had a great floor plan. I would eventually change countertops in the kitchen. And like maybe level the breakfast bar to counter height. But other than that, I really liked it. I liked the backyard. It's kind of just a blank slate. I could plant some trees, do whatever. But yeah, you know, it's fun to look. It's fun to kind of figure out. I've looked forever. I love architecture and real estate and homes and all that stuff and design. So, but looking in person versus like stalking realtor.com or the Realtor and Zillow apps, it's a little different. You're like, okay, I always thought I loved this. Maybe we're going a different direction. So, but it's really fun.
And that last house, one of the reasons why you didn't go for it is because it's just kind of too far out of town, right?
Yeah, so like it's technically in Fayetteville, but it's 20 minutes from where I live now in the same town. So it's just like on that far outskirts on the northeast side of town. And so
I don't believe you.
It would be a 45-minute drive probably from your house, Stephanie, if not more.
Yeah.
And it would add an extra 20 minutes to my drive probably.
Yeah, so it's just, while technically in Fayetteville, just a little further out than I want to be. So I like convenience. I like things I like restaurants. I like to be able to run to a restaurant and grab takeout. I don't often by myself, at least, go to a restaurant, but like, you know, even for date night, it's nice to just be able to go not very far. And I'm in such a great location right now, proximity wise, like everything is very convenient to me right now. So that's going to be a challenge to give up, at least to the extent that that house would require giving up. So, you know, but I'm still looking, like I said, I'm not in a huge hurry, but I've got a great realtor. And so that's fun, you know?
Yeah. Me and
sounds
Stephanie went and saw the Minecraft movie with the kids this weekend. So that was a lot of fun. The kids had a blast. Stephanie probably had less of a blast because she sat next to me. And about every 3 minutes, I was like, is this true? Is this real? Does that happen in Minecraft? Is that to the point that Monster went, yes, at one point? He was just like, yes.
Yeah. He was like, be quiet. Why would they lie? It's a movie about the game. Why would they lie? Like, but that was his tone.
I'm just like, Peanut and Buster loved it. Monster loved it. They had a great time. So Jack Black
loved it.
Always hilarious. Jason Momoa's character, I've never seen him play a character like this, and I loved it. He plays like an 80s dirtbag. It was such a good character for him. Like, I told Stephanie at one point during the movie, I was like, him and Jack Black need to remake the movie Twins, like with Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger.
That would be funny. I love
She said it multiple times.
They do. It would be the perfect casting.
And it cracks me up because she kept saying it like she hadn't said it 2 minutes before.
You know,
You cracked me up so much. But no, she was just like, have you, Stephanie, have you gone to the Nether? And I'm like, yes, that is a thing you have to do in the game. And she's like, well, what's in the Nether? I was like, it's on the screen in front of you. We're looking at it right now. This is what's in the Nether. Everything you see here is the Nether. Like, you go and you get, like, really the only reason why you go to the Nether is for certain, like, resource blocks. That's it. And, like, recipe things. But that's it. And she's like, it sounds terrible.
It did. It sounded awful. But there must have been another prom that night. Obviously, there was, if rumors are to be true.
No, it wasn't. Like, no. The thing is that it was... A gag is not the right word, but it was just a thing that people decided to do, was to dress up to go to the Minecraft movie because it deserved all the prestige that they felt it was due. So there was a lot of teenagers that were dressed up in like blazers and suits and all kinds of stuff. It was really cute.
They sat next to us. They looked freaking adorable, all of them in their like blazers and suits. It's like, I guess, when the kids dressed up as Minions to go to the new Minion movie. And I was like, what's this about? Why are we dressing up as Minions to go to a Minion movie? But Gen Z and Gen Alpha, what are they going to think of next?
I mean, we dressed up to go to Harry Potter midnight releases. So
we did.
Like, every generation has got their thing, you know?
Yes.
That's true.
So it was a blast, though.
This generation, it's Minions and Minecraft. So, you know.
It is. I wonder what the next...
M&Ms.
We learned about a bunch of new movies coming out that we're going to have to like vlog us going to see. The new Jurassic Park is coming out.
The new
Jonathan Bailey.
The new Superman is coming out. And then we have to go. You've got to come with us, Julia. There's this new like Pixar little alien. It's
Elio.
Elio. He's only got one eye, as someone with the bump in her eye.
Listen, you said Pixar, I'm in. Like, I watch almost every Pixar movie.
He's so cute.
Trying to convince Jack to let me make him watch Monsters, Inc. Because I always quote it. I'm always like, we've got a 2319, or put that thing back where it came from, or so help me. And he's like, what the heck are you doing? And I'm like, if you would let me make you watch this movie, you would know.
Yeah.
Well, he's got to come with us to see Elio. This little kid wants to get abducted by aliens because he thinks that's where he belongs. He's so stinking cute. And he does get abducted by aliens. And then there's this alien overlord and he's trying to take over. And so they decide that Elio is going to be the one to stop him. Anyway, it's super cute. It's from the people who made Inside Out too. So, it's going to just pull on your heartstrings or whatever. It's going to be so cute. But so there's a lot of summer movies coming out that we're going to have to vlog.
I'll go see it with you guys.
So we'll see. Good. Perfect. So speaking of film and TV, today we're talking about The Residence on Netflix. We watched the first 2 episodes of The Residence. It came out in March of this year, starring Uzo Aduba as Cordelia Cup. And first things first, there is an 11-point difference. Do you think that the people liked it better, or do you think the critics liked it better? And what do you think the scores are on Rotten Tomatoes?
11-point difference?
It's a bit of a difference.
I want to say Rotten Tomatoes really liked The Residence. I want to say the Rotten Tomatoes is higher than the people.
Popcorn
And I want to say and I want to say the Rotten Tomatoes is in the 90s.
Okay, so your guess is the 90s, and then that would be the 80s for the people. What about you, Julia?
I think I'm with her. I think that the critics probably liked it more, although I really am enjoying it so far. So I think the critics liked it more. I'm going to say the critics are in the high 80s, so the audience is high 70s.
And Julia's closer. It's 86.75. The Rotten Tomatoes, the critics liked it better than the Popgometer or whatever they're calling it now. That does not roll off the tongue. So this is about Cordelia Cup comes in because the usher, who is the head usher of the White House, which is the guy who runs something I had never thought about. I majored in political science and spent a lot of time in political science. Little known fact about me. And I never thought about who controls the butlers, the maids, the electricians, all of those people in the White House that have to make the house run as a house, who controls all those people. And so that guy is called the head usher, and she is brought in because there's the fall of the House of Usher. The head usher passes away, and it is told in a Senate hearing style. So they're all being pulled in for a Senate hearing so that they can discuss what happened when the usher passed away. The head usher passed away.
And former actor, I guess current actor / former Senator Al Franken was the chair of the Senate committee.
That's cool. I didn't know that. That's awesome.
So that is the setup, and they bring in this consulting detective. What you find out about her throughout the first 2 episodes is that she solves all these unsolvable crimes. Think of Miss Marple from Agatha Christie or Sherlock Holmes, people like that. She's supposed to be as good as they are, and she solves all these unsolvable crimes. So she's trying to solve if it was a murder and who murdered him, the head usher. His name is A.B. Winter. And one of the things
by the fabulous Giancarlo Esposito.
Oh my gosh, I love him. He plays
a great usher, but he usually plays the morally gray kind of bad guys, and I kind of like that.
I know, I love him. I was real sad to see that he was going to play most of the part dead. By most of the part, there's been just a little bit in the first. One of the things I love about it is,
and he's there in some flashbacks, though.
He is, and I do think that they use him well. So let's get started. Whom is everyone's favorite character? Of all the characters that we meet, who is everyone's favorite character?
Trip Morgan, played by Jason Lee, the president's brother. He's an a-hole who thinks everybody is a-holes, and he hates all of them, and he never wants to, he's just there to be corralled, basically, and he was so funny. He's just walking around in a robe in the White House at a state dinner. He's hilarious.
He cracked
at a black tie state dinner.
He's like, why weren't you at the state dinner? I wasn't invited. Me neither. What about you, Julia? Who was your favorite character?
I like Cordelia a lot, but I think so far my favorite might actually be the chief of Metro Police, Lawrence Larry. I liked that he introduced himself that way in the Senate hearing. They were like, state your name. He's like, I'm Lawrence Larry so-and-so. And I was like, oh, I like you. And he's just like, kind of
he's just the guy down the street.
But also, yeah, like I just like him. I don't know.
He's funny.
So my favorite character is played by Eliza Cuthbert, and she's the senator that's mouthing to Al Franken, like is constantly like interrupting and being like, no, let me make sure that I got this correct. And just like, she's like, oh my gosh, I love her when she like downloads everything.
Yeah.
So I really like her. On the flip side, who's everyone's least favorite character?
It's not hard. He's made to be disliked. Harry Hollinger.
Yeah.
Hate him.
Yeah.
The fiery passion.
If
He's
we
so
had,
annoying.
I hate him so much. So the actor is doing a fabulous job. I know that he's from
Ken
stuff
Marino.
like Ken Marino. He's doing a fabulous job because I absolutely hate him. But if we had just watched the first episode, my response to later on's question about whether or not I'd continue would be no, I hated him that much. Like, he is just the most despicable person.
Quintessential politician, brown-nosing, little B-worded boy.
Let's sweep this under the rug. Let's do whatever it takes to just keep our reputation and move on. Exactly. But he's
I like how your senator,
in like the pushiest way.
Yeah, Tina, your senator at one point was like, let me get this straight. A man that has no place in this presidential party administration, has no place in the White House, has no position here or there, and he's calling these shots, and they're like, yeah. Like, I just wanted to make sure that was clear.
Like, I despise Henry Hollinger. I just absolutely despise him. So we're all in agreement. So that guy deserves all the flowers because he's doing a great job.
Yeah, I think
like
he's universally, exactly.
He's nailing the part.
I also don't care for Lily, who's the like head of socials for the White House or whatever.
Oh yeah, no, I don't like her very much either.
Like, her character is coming off like funny, but like there's just something going on with her. I'm not sure I like her at all. She's a little shady in my book.
She's suspicious.
It'll be interesting to see what happens with her in these 8 episodes. So what is everyone's favorite scene or line, something that happens? Like, what's the thing that made you laugh out loud or so angry that you were like ready to throw something at the TV? Like, what was it?
I don't remember his name. The guy they originally meet with Henry Hollinger, but he's like national security or something. But
FBI
he just says
guy?
like the FBI guy.
The fanboy FBI guy?
Yes. I like him when he, what was the one? Oh, the Indiana Jones scene where they like mention Indiana Jones and he's like, oh, that was a real disappointment or whatever. He's just funny. And
they're like, we need to go talk to Kaylee Montague. And he's like, I'll do it. This is a great plan. I'll do it.
Kylie Minogue.
Minogue, sorry. Kylie
What about,
Minogue, yeah.
I was like, who's Kaylee Montague? And I was like, oh, Kylie Minogue. Got it.
Who's your
terrible with names?
That's me.
What is my favorite scene?
Like, what's your favorite scene? What's your favorite?
Literally, my favorite scene is the part where they find the diplomat, the Australian diplomat, and the not when they find, but the Australian diplomat and the chef are outside boinking. Yeah. And like, he's like, there's a person over there. He's a person over there. And she like headbutts him at some point or something. And like his nose is bleeding everywhere. That whole scene had me laughing. I was like, oh my God, this
and
is
yet
ridiculous.
they continue. Yeah. His nose is gushing blood and yet they continue.
And then like when they find
me laugh.
Yeah. When they find them
it also
out.
made me laugh that when he's seeing the other people out there, he's like, I see another person. I'm very uncomfortable. And yet he's not doing anything to stop the situation. Like he literally just moved them behind the tree a little more. Like,
and then he's like, oh, there's a person over there. And he's like, I don't know which direction to go in. Okay. I'm just going to focus on what I'm doing.
I love that neither one of them know each other's names, and
and Cordelia has having to inform them.
Inform both.
They're
of
like,
them
whatever.
He's like, whatever. I don't remember. That cracks me up. That is my favorite scene as well. Is those two together. Although I have to say, one of the things that made me laugh was they call her Grammy. That's what.
Oh yeah,
Jason Lee calls
she's
her.
Like, it's not porn. And then she's like, I didn't think it was porn. She's like, I know you were thinking it was porn. She's like, I was not thinking that at all.
No, my favorite part of hers is whenever she's like, my son's husband. You mean the president of the United States? Every time.
Playing that bigotry part real well.
I know.
I don't even think it's like because he's her or he's his husband. Like, I don't think it's the husband and husband thing, which I also really like about this show. I think that is pretty, I love that they're like the first man and like all that stuff. But, yeah, no, I really think she just doesn't like the president. I think she just hates his guts. I think that's what it is. I don't think it has anything to do with like her son being gay or anything like that. I think it's just my son's husband.
The family members do crack me up because like you said, the brother, like he's just like, when Cordelia's going around trying to investigate, they're like, she's like, whose room is this? And they say, oh, it's the president's brother. And he's there. She's like, is he in there now? He's like, yeah. She said, you mean he was in here the whole time and he didn't hear a scream and a dead body? She's like, they're like, well, he came out when so-and-so screamed, but then he just went back to bed. Like, okay, dead body in the room next door, but just go back to bed.
He went back to bed with a dead body 2 doors down. And they're like, yeah. And she's like,
he goes, do you want to talk to him? And he goes, yeah. She's like, yeah, but not right now.
It makes me think of all the people that live in the White House that we never think about. Because, like, I literally just thought that it was, like, the president and the first lady. Like, I never thought about how you could move in your brother, your sister, your cousins, your best friend, because Harry lives there. And they're like, you live here and you weren't going to tell me? And he was like, no, I wasn't going to tell you. And she's like, you don't think that's weird? And he's like, no. Oh my gosh. I never thought about like all the people who must live in the White House and how it works. Like, this show is fascinating for that reason. So what is your least favorite part of the show? Like, what is the part of the show that you just didn't love?
Oh, I made a note of this. Oh, actually, I know it. So I if you get motion sick in the first episode, like pretty early on, they like dive into the White House. When you hear the scream, the camera like fast motion goes through the White House and up the stairs and around all these corridors and things. And I was like, I don't even get that motion sick. And this is like tripping me out. I don't love this choice. I get it. I understand the like purpose behind it, but I don't think for viewers it's always the best.
And that's not the only time they do it. It's not the only time they do it, because they do it with a bird in the second episode. It was very much like the bird was diving and flying and being followed and stuff. So that's not like the only time that they do it. So I will agree with that. What about you, Stephanie?
I didn't really have one that I just didn't like. It's all pretty, I don't know. It's all pretty straightforward. I feel like the whole thing is shot very well as far as like cinematography. And I had to say that slow, guys. It's a big word. Anyway, and I don't know. I just didn't really think, like, the only thing I didn't like about the show is literally Harry Hollinger's character, because he's just an ass. I just don't like it.
I mean, like Christina said, he's great at his job, that guy, because you do hate this character, and you're supposed to. You are supposed to, but man,
and I don't like the president either, because like, who could have a best friend like that and be an all right guy? You know what I mean? Like, something's going on with that guy too. But I will say my favorite part, when it's like dealing with his obnoxiousness and like his attitude towards Cordelia, is that when the Prime Minister,
the Australian Prime Minister,
was like, are you a detective? You're not a detective. You're not a detective. So you're going to tell me, or you're going to try to tell me that the detective that solved the most unsolvable case in all of Australia, that she doesn't know what she's talking about? She's like, he's like, I really think we should listen to what she has to say. And it was just so like, good.
Let's
and
hear
of
what
course,
the actual detective says. Like,
yeah. And of course you gotta love, why can I never remember his name? He plays Cole in Charmed.
Cole in Charmed. Yeah. I love him. I can never remember his name either, but I absolutely love him. So what character is doing the least with the most? So who's got a huge part that you think isn't doing much with it?
Sorry. His name is Julian McMahon. McMahon.
That's right.
Julian.
I speak English real good.
That's a tough one. The least with the most. So they've got a big part. Mm-hmm.
For me, it's the president. Like, I think when you're like the center stage, he's giving nothing. Like, he's just giving bland, blonde, white man. He's not giving.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
He's not giving, like, you want, even if you don't have a huge part as the president, you have a big part in it. Like, you just do. And he's just not giving anything. And I think that a more established actor in that role would have done better. Somebody with more of a gravitas, I just think would have done so much better. Because even when, like, so this is a Shonda Land show, Shonda Rhimes. So Tony Goldwyn played Fitz for like 9 seasons on Scandal. Oh my goodness, I couldn't think of the word scandal. And even when he's not like in charge or he doesn't know what to do, he still like controls the room. And so I just think the president is like this big character who's doing nothing. And I don't like him.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. Like, even his husband, who really only had like 2 scenes in the first 2 episodes, maybe. Actually, in the first episode, I don't think we even met him until the second episode. And even he had more character, like personality. And his personality is, I don't have a personality and I'm super indecisive. But even that was played really well.
Right.
And like you said, the president, like, he only had really 1 scene, but in that scene, he was just like, no. And that was about it. And we were like,
he was just fighting and like having a pissing contest with the Prime Minister of Australia.
I mean, there was a guy who literally didn't have any lines, and he was just in a scene at a table, and she was like, and this is like a flashback for this woman. She was like, I was sitting next to a really weird guy. He was just really strange. And that guy had more personality than the freaking president. He didn't even say anything. He just sat there looking weird.
Yep. So on the flip side, what character is doing the most with the least? So they have an itty bitty part, but they're doing the most with it.
Oh, so far for me, it's the FBI guy.
Yeah. Him, or I really liked the chef. I think she was.
I was going to say the chef.
Oh, she's a good one
hilarious.
too.
Like, you got to have some balls of steel on you to not put out an entree at a state dinner.
Because
and I love that they're
do it exactly the way you wanted.
And they just keep saying it's because she's from Portland. Like, that's like their answer.
She's from Portland, and then somebody else is like, "No, she's from Texas."
She's
and
from
then the
Oklahoma.
diplomat was like, "No, trust me, she's from Oklahoma. She has a she's from Oklahoma."
Something that I think that the show did really well in the second episode is how unreliable your memory is when Cordelia's interviewing all those people, and they were like, they were fighting. It was 2 men. It was a man. It was a woman. No, they were hugging. No, 15 people went out to the gate. No, 2 people went out to the gate. A.B. Winter was at the gate. No, he wasn't at the gate. Like, how unreliable that many people would be. I absolutely just loved how quickly they showed that and like brought that home and still went somewhere with it. I just think that that was phenomenal. So who would you recast if you could recast one person? Who would you recast?
I think I'd recast the president.
Me too. Weirdly, you know who I'd recast him with?
Who?
The Australian Prime Minister. I would have made the Australian Prime Minister somebody else, and I would have recast him as Julian. Like, I think that he is someone already there that could have pulled off that role very well. And so...
And he's played a president before. I don't remember what movie it was. But yeah, no, I feel like he's got great comedic timing, and he is just a really good actor. Like, it's crazy to me how he's not bigger than he is. He also plays Doctor Doom. For all of you Fantastic Four players, he's one of the original Doctor Dooms.
Oh, yeah, that is. He does.
He does. You're right.
Amazing in that, too.
Yeah, so he's who I would recast. I would recast the president, and I would recast him. I would recast him with Julian and put somebody else's. Yeah,
I think I would also recast the president. He's really the biggest, like, disappointment that I really had of that whole... the episodes that I've seen so far. And I don't know if I would put Julian there. He would be great. Obviously, I think he'd do great anywhere. But I don't know who I'd put. But I think it would just be another... I would be okay with another standard white guy, just one that was a little more convincing. And also, he seems a little old for his husband. I'm just putting that out there. He seems quite a bit older than his husband.
There does seem to be an age gap. This is a side tangent. Yesterday, I binge watched the Mid-Century Modern show on Hulu, and they were talking about age gaps. They're all gay men, and one of them called it a gay December romance when there was an age gap instead of a May December romance.
That's hilarious.
That's so funny. Good. I love that. My final question for you guys before we move on is, will you watch all 8 episodes? And would you come back? They have not yet. It never was supposed to be a limited series. That's not how it was released as an 8-episode limited series. The thought being that she could come back for season 2 and she could solve a different murder somewhere else, because this one, not a spoiler, but this one apparently wraps up. I don't know how it wraps up. I've only seen 2 episodes, but it does wrap up. So would you watch the rest of the show, and would you go on to watch a season 2 and see her solve other crimes?
Yeah. On both,
I would 100%. I think Zoe is doing so good.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know we haven't really talked about Cordelia that much, but she's a very enjoyable character to watch. I really like her.
She feels a little, for our listeners, she feels a little like a mix of like Monk and like, if you know any British comedians, Richard Ayoade. She sort of feels like a mix of them to me. Like,
she has a very dry humor, and it's hilarious. But at the same time, she's like, I love birds. Birds are the only thing that makes sense in this world. This is how I know how to do my job, because of birds. It is a very bird-like situation that we're in.
how would you describe sex? She goes, I would describe it as the thing that I enjoy more than, does she tell you
real estate?
More than real estate,
real
but
estate,
less than bird watching.
So, let's now move on to the rec room.
Welcome to the rec room.
So, welcome to the rec room. Who wants to rec first this week?
I think you should rec first this week, Christina.
Okay, so my recommendation is, so it's a podcast, but it's also a podcast channel. So if you guys know anything about podcasts and how podcasts work, is they sometimes come as like a whole channel where they all have things in common. And this one is called Tenderfoot TV, and they all do murder mysteries. So I was going to recommend this at some point anyway, so I thought this would be the perfect week to do it with the residents. I would do this one. So Tenderfoot TV has a ton of great true crime podcasts. My first one that I ever listened to with them was To Live and Die in LA back in 2021. It's a phenomenal, like, short series, To Live and Die in LA season 1 and season 2. That's not the podcast I'm going to recommend. The one I'm going to recommend is actually ongoing now. It's called Up and Vanished Weekly. So Payne Lindsay, he did a podcast called Up and Vanished, and it got really popular and really famous because he's a journalist, but it got really popular and really famous because he actually solved the crime. Like, so he came in, he found the evidence, and he actually solved the crime as to what happened, and now people are facing trial because of it. Like, so he successfully helped.
I didn't know that.
Solve the crime. So I think that that's super cool of what Tenderfoot is doing in the true crime. They keep it. One of the things that I think that me and Stephanie, especially because we listen to a lot of true crime podcasts, is we're really, really careful to make sure that they focus on the victim and they keep it about the victim and the family and not so much about like the grotesqueness of it or the killer or making it about the killer, kind of giving them. Yeah. And so they don't do that at all. He's very much keeps it about the case, about the victim, always speaking very positively about the victim. So it's Tenderfoot TV, Up and Vanished Weekly. That's my rec. But anything by Tenderfoot TV is amazing. So what about you, Julia?
Well, my rec is a book series that I flew through this last summer. So it's the Thursday Murder Club series by, you guessed it, a British comedian author. The first book, The Thursday Murder Club, was his debut novel. You also know me. I love some quirky old characters. And these are the main characters in these 4 books. There's a 5th one coming out, I think, sometime this year. And there's a movie coming out on Netflix later this year of the first one. Got a great cast, too. I mean, like Helen Mirren. I'll have to find it, but we'll put the cast up in the edit. But the first book came out in 2020. And so, like, here's the little description. In a peaceful retirement village, 4 unlikely friends meet up once a week to investigate unsolved murders. When a brutal killing takes place on their very doorstep, the Thursday Murder Club finds themselves in the middle of their first live case. Elizabeth, Joyce, Abraham, and Ron might be pushing 80, but they still have a few tricks up their sleeves. Can our unorthodox but brilliant gang catch the killer before it's too late? So they're all like murder mysteries, but you get to know these characters and like they're so funny. They're so quirky. Like Elizabeth is kind of the head honcho, and she used to be like a spy or something. Like she used to like work for MI6. And so she has all this experience, and she started the Thursday Murder Club with her best friend Penny. But Penny got dementia really bad, so Penny can't participate anymore. But Penny was an old MP or like she was a police officer of some kind. And so they started by looking at some of Penny's old cold cases. And so that's what they did. And they rent out the like activity room in their retirement village, but they don't want to tell everybody what's going on. They don't reserve it for the Thursday Murder Club. They reserve it for like ancient Chinese poetry or something, and so that no one else will want to join. And then Ron is like this gruff old, like he was like a construction worker or something. He's this gruff old guy, and he's like suspicious. So he just barges in one day and he's like, "What are you guys really doing? You're not looking at." Oh, excuse me. He's like, "You guys are not doing Chinese literature or something. What are you up to?" And so they reluctantly bring Ron in, and then Ibrahim gets brought in too. He's very intelligent and kind. So, but the stories are funny. And I love every single one. I think I read all 4 books in a week this summer. So I highly recommend. The first book has, I think it's rated in the high 3s on Goodreads, but to me, honestly, it was a 4.5 star or more book, and the series as a whole, I mean, just bow down. It's so good.
So it's what the book community calls one of your God tier books. It's a God tier.
It might be. Yeah.
What about you, Stephanie? What's your rec?
My rec is going to be the Spellman Files by Lisa Lutz. It's been a while since I read it, but I love that series so much. It's one of those books, like if any of y'all have read the Stephanie Plum series, it's very similar to that in the fact that all the characters are kind of crazy and they're all chaotic, and it's just a big old chaotic mess of people butting in and being hilarious and having a bunch of like one-liners and stuff. So if you want a good time with a mystery and just really memorable, lovable characters, The Spellmans by Lisa Lutz is a good start to go. They're like PIs. It's a family of PIs, or like former cops. And in the first book, I believe they investigate her new boyfriend, or who they think is her new boyfriend. And she finds out and she like throws a tantrum and like quits, but she's in a contract with her family, so she can't quit. And so they're like, well, if you solve this case, then we'll talk about, ceasing your contract. And they give her like a decades old ice cold case for her to try to solve. And like, it just goes through all of like the steps that she goes through and all that stuff. But she ends up not quitting, or if she does, she opens her own PI, and then they're still all involved in her life. So it's pretty hilarious.
How many books are in the series?
There's 5 or 6 in that series. It does cut off, like it ends.
There's 4.
Because
there's 4.
That's my issue with the Stephanie Plum books. I loved like the first 3 or 4, but there are like 27 to 30 something books in this series. And I'm like, and time doesn't progress. I think the characters are hilarious. I think like the first ones, like I was obsessed with the first 3, but then I was like looking down the line and I was like, and then I realized that it's still the same love triangle 30 books in. And I'm like, why?
Even though she's engaged to one of them, and it's just like, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
This one has a very much ending.
Yeah, it's a 4-book series.
So now it's time to play a game. Stephanie's the one with our game tonight. So what are we playing, Steph?
So for our game, we're doing a kind of choose your own adventure murder mystery situation to go with our theme of the residents and Clue and all that stuff. So we're going to try to get through this. It was really hard to try to find a murder mystery like game that would only need at minimum 2 people and could do this over Zoom. So we'll see how this goes. But basically, I'm going to give you a clue, and then I can provide you with like small hints, but you kind of have to ask questions, and I can say yes or no, and we try to get to like what happened.
Okay.
That sounds fun.
We'll see how it goes. So this mystery is called The Hot Seat. And your clue is, word of advice, be careful who you almost kill.
So do we have any context?
Nope.
Be careful who you almost kill. So, was a car accident involved?
No.
Am I related to the person I almost killed?
No.
Do I know the person I almost killed?
No.
Is the person I almost killed old?
Not determined.
Is the person I almost killed famous?
No.
Who you almost kill?
Do you want
Is
your
the
first
person?
hint?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so your first hint is that this story involves a mortuary attendant.
Is the person I almost killed
everyone-
immortal?
Immortal? No.
Yeah.
Does everyone else think the person I almost killed is dead?
Yes.
Somebody gets shipped to the mortuary to be dead that isn't dead.
So I'm going to say that's a solve because that's pretty much the thing. So I'll read you the solution on here. It says a mortuary employee hits a pedestrian with his car. Sorry, it does involve a car accident. I was wrong. On a lonely
Lying
road.
to my face.
It was the
Lying.
first sentence too. I didn't read it. Afraid he will be charged with manslaughter, he takes the body back to the funeral home to cremate it and dispose of the evidence.
My next question was, do we try to put him in an incinerator?
Yeah. When he
the
does,
answer is
what he doesn't realize is that the pedestrian was under house arrest and is wearing an ankle monitor. And when the attendant took him to the funeral home, he exceeded the allowed boundary that the pedestrian could travel. And this immediately alerted the police, who tracked the pedestrian's whereabouts. Just as the attendant is pushing the body into the furnace, the police enter the room and arrest him. A fortunate turn of events for the pedestrian, as he was not actually dead, but merely unconscious. The attendant is now charged with attempted murder instead of manslaughter. Whoops.
I feel like he should also be charged with, like, tampering with evidence or I don't know what you would call it.
Something of a body.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So let's try the next one
Okay.
and see how it goes. Now that you kind of get the feel of what we're doing here. Okay.
Okay.
So your clue is, in his case, the caramels were actually lifesavers.
Is this about a candy shop?
Sort of. It involves
Is
a
this
candy something.
Is this about a kid?
No.
I'll take our first hint.
The he is a government agent.
Are the caramels an antidote to poison? The guy had been poisoned. He eats a caramel and it's the antidote to the poison?
How does
Very
your brain
nearly.
work like this?
I know. How do you jump to that? That is almost the correct answer.
That is wild. I don't like.
Boom, boom, boom. Ba-da-da-da. That's Christina. All of you should be very concerned. That's all I'm saying.
Are we going to call this a solved?
Yes.
Or do
I
you
think we
want
call it solved.
I solved
Okay,
that.
so the solution is a government agent has been held hostage for months by enemy forces, where he has been tortured and drugged. He is finally able to escape and hides out in a nearby candy factory. Since he has been starved for months, he eats what candy he can find. The caramel he eats pulls out a tooth filling placed while he was drugged and exposes a tracker that was sealed under the filling. He leaves the tracker in the candy store, and this allows him to escape. How do you freaking jump to something like that, Tina, from nowhere?
I have no clue.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
This is why, though, it's not fun to watch a mystery movie with you, because you're
not fun to
sitting there
watch
the
any-
whole time trying to guess the ending, guess the
Yeah.
twist. And I'm like, no,
Yeah.
I want to know. Like, if it's obvious, like if it's blatantly obvious, that's one thing. But Christina's just there going, this is who did it. This is who did it. And this is why. And I'm like, Can we watch the movie?
We're only 15 minutes in. Give us a second.
And I'm right all the time. All the time I'm right.
No,
but
that was fun.
I think we should save those for another time because I think those are super fun. So thanks for hanging out with us today. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and connect with us on our social media, Don't Quit Your Day Job Pod. We love to hear your thoughts on what you're currently reading, watching, and listening to. Until next time, keep it cozy, keep it fun, and don't quit your day job unless you really want to. Bye! Bye!